whenever you started on this venture, it was like, even the way you were saying the other day when we were on the phone, you're like, yeah, I've had this house in mind, and then you ended up buying two.
Yes.
So like, that's like double bubble. Like that's not just, you're not going for one massive investment, it's two. Yes. Like, was that not did that not add more fuel? Were more people more like, you're crazy? Like,
oh, everybody was like, I was crazy with one. Yeah. 100%. So then two to the mixture, they actually, I think they thought, no, there's a problem here. She's lost her mind. But I had sold my own house. So I, owned a house on a mortgage, a very sensible 3-bed semi in South Belfast. But I couldn't afford it to let refurb one without selling it. So I had to put it up, and don't get me wrong, I decorated it and updated it, so I made a nice profit on that. And then when I sold my home for this apartment that needed completely flipped, it was only that week, I think I got the keys, that an estate agent phoned up and said, the other one that you were bidding on has fallen through, so would you like that too? But because there was a little bit of money there from the house, I thought, well, yeah, I could have a mortgage, a buy-to-let mortgage on the second one. I think I could afford it, and checked with obviously mortgage advisor and everybody that needed to check with, and they said, yeah, you could do it, like go for it. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And actually it worked out a wee bit better because the trades were all there for one, so they may as well and go and do the second one at the same time. Yeah.
So in terms of your first venture down this, you bought 2 properties.
Yes.
What was the kind of time frame to getting them done up, and like your first venture, because it was probably, or would have been the hardest, like, is it your first time getting into this?
First was definitely the hardest, and I thought 6 months was a good kind of gauge for me. I was just thought I can cope with the repayments for 6 months, and in my head I just thought I could get this done in this amount of time. It seems reasonable. You see people on TV shows and they're like 8 weeks, and I was like, no, there's absolutely no chance that's happening. So just be a bit more realistic about it. And then again, because I was doing the same kind of thing, it was both 2-bedroom apartments. And I had the trades there, and I had chosen a kind of cookie cutter approach, so chosen the same kind of look for both of them. The 6 months, both of them were refurbished and on the market. Now, it took a bit longer once they were sale agreed and conveyancing to go through, but in those 6 months, the profit from those 2-bed apartments after everybody was paid off was £102,000. And I was like, oh my goodness, actually, do I have to go to work anymore? Like, I could flip like once a year, or, maybe twice a year, and this would cover the profit. Like, this would be my wage. And then that's just kind of where that idea was born, because what I was looking for from one of those properties was £20,000. And don't get me wrong, whilst I was in the middle of renovating those properties and it was 20,000 I'm looking for, the joiners wanting so many thousand, the plumbers wanting so many thousand, and I just felt like I had a money gun and I was just throwing it to these people. And then I was like, oh my goodness, if I made 10, that would be good, because you were starting to think, oh, this is getting out of control. But 41 on one and 61 on the other.
Did that sort of like exceed your expectations then?
Oh, it blew me away. It changed my life. It blew me away.
You did actually have a money gun then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I did. It opened my mind to, oh my goodness, the possibilities and the opportunities that comes with that. It's definitely not what I thought. That I was just aiming for £20,000 because I wanted to put that towards building a house.
How do you think you got to that? Like, to that figure? As you said 40 and 60.
Yeah.
But you were expecting 20. Is it just like you underestimated how much they were worth, or did you put more work into it?
I think I'm a bit conservative at the start.
Okay.
So if 20k. Now, maybe I was probably saying that out loud. If I got 20,000, I'd be delighted. In my head, I was like, please let me get 30 or something like that, But and then obviously, as I said, once the money was being handed out left, right and centre, the panic set in. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, sometimes you have that thought before you go to bed. As long as I break even, I'm not out any money. So it just completely exceeded that. And I thought that once people got in and seen the quality of the homes, that's when the bidding started. So when people are in the door and they're seeing, something they love and something they want to live in, and a product that they can just walk into and literally set their toothbrush in and put their clothes in the wardrobe and live there, then they fell in love with it. And then it just increased the bidding. And so there's obviously a bit of a bidding war with it, and it just went higher than I expected. And
if you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay for the houses at the start?
So the first one was 82,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. In Ravenhill, and I spent just close to 16 on it, and sold it for 140.
God, And the second one, what was
That's
it?
mental.
The second one was 100,000, and it was a 2-bedroom apartment in Newton Breda in South Belfast. I don't know if you know it. So it was 100,000 for the 2-bedroom apartment. I spent 13 on that one.
Yeah.
I lived in that one. Do not recommend. I lived in that one, and at the end, I sold it for 174,000.
Like they're not like overly expensive houses. You
No.
think at that lower end, you're not the price, like the amount of profit you get off them isn't as much as that.
Yeah.
But obviously, it is an achievable thing for someone trying to start out.
It
too.
is definitely achievable. They are the lower end of the
Yeah.
scale, and people say, "Oh, but that was like 3-4 years ago. It's changed now. The prices." Well, that £82,000. I have actually just currently renovating an apartment in that block at the minute that I spent 92,000 on it. So.
Yeah.
Same style, it's £10,000 dearer for me to purchase, but that's because we're so many years down
Yeah.
the line. But
Yeah.
then again, I would expect an extra £10,000 on
Yeah.
the sale price at the end.